'Tis the season of the sale. All sorts of sales events are coming up in the next few months, and the question is, should you or should you not participate in things like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Boxing Day, New Year's sales, etc. I'm going to talk about the whys and the why nots in this video so you can make an educated decision as to whether participating in big sales events is a good fit for your handmade business or not. G'day there, my name is Jess Van Den. Welcome to Create and Thrive, where I help you turn your handmade hobby into a thriving and profitable handmade business, which is what I talk about on this channel and on my podcast, the Create and Thrive podcast, which you can listen to on your favorite podcast platform. I also do interviews with makers over there, so you might enjoy checking that out. So let's get started with today's video. So the answer as to whether you should participate in one of these sales events or not is really, it depends. It depends on you, it depends on your product, it depends on your goals. So let's talk about a couple of pros and cons and a couple of situations. Number one, do you have a made to order shop model or do you have pre-made items lying around? The thing to remember about sales is that they evolved because retailers buy product from wholesalers and then they end up with a whole bunch of stuff sitting around on their shelves that they need to move. So they need to move that stock on so that they can bring in the new season stock or the fresh stock to their shelves in brick and mortar stores. So that's why sales evolved, really. That's the point of them, is to move on old stock that needs to go to make way for fresh new stock. So if you are in this situation, if you have a lot of old designs and products lying around that you just want to get rid of, or you kind of work on a launch model, seasonal model, where you bring out lots of new designs on a regular basis and then they go away again, then a sale might make sense for you because you actually are using it for the purpose it was intended for, which is to move on old stock. And in which case, do you want to put your whole shop on sale or just part of your shop? You might have a clearance section or a sales section where you are offering, that sort of thing. Black Friday, Boxing Day, generally will be a sale across the board, but you don't necessarily have to do it that way. You could just do it for that stuff that you need to move. However, if you have a made to order model, so you don't make stock until somebody buys it, it doesn't make as much sense to participate in a sales event because you're simply making stuff for less money if you're selling stuff during a sales event. But again, you may decide that it's worth it because of the extra traffic you'll get or the extra sales you'll get. So that may be, a part of your decision making there. But it definitely makes less sense to participate because you don't have a lot of your money and time already taken up and invested into an unsold product. Whereas if you do have a lot of money and time wrapped up in unsold products that you want to move, it makes more sense to participate in a sales event. So the second thing to consider is, will participating in a big sales event devalue your work or your brand? Sales should be rare. They shouldn't be something that you do on a regular basis because people should be happy to pay full price for your work, right? If you consistently have sales and special deals, people will learn to wait for a sale or a special before they buy your product. And you can probably off the top of your head think of some big box stores that are like always having a sale. I can think of a few here in Australia, and you're just like, yeah, well, you don't ever buy anything full price because you're like, well, I know you're going to have a sale at some stage, things are going to be cheaper, so I'll just wait and buy from you then. You really don't want to foster that sort of attitude in your customers. So if you are going to participate in sales events, make sure they are sporadic and rare, and that might be why you do want to participate in one of these big ones because there's all the hoopla about it and you do want to take advantage of that. Or maybe you don't because you're afraid that it will devalue your brand. Like, does it fit with your brand to participate in these big sales events? If you're about sustainability, buying quality over quantity, etc., it might not be a good look for your business to participate in something like Black Friday or Boxing Day sales because it runs counter to the ethos of your business that you have tried to develop. So those are all things to consider as well. Is it going to devalue your brand that you have developed? The third thing to consider is, do you really need to? If you're getting regular sales and your business is ticking along and you're happy with the amount of money you're making, it's not really necessary to participate in one of these sales events. However, if you're struggling a little bit and you really want that influx of cash, then maybe it makes sense to participate even this one time. It's not like you have to do it every single time. You can make this decision fresh each time one of these sales events comes around and decide if it's going to be the right fit for you right now. So, do you want to take advantage of being part of a larger promotion? Like, are you on a venue or a platform that does some sort of special promotion around that time that elevates people who are participating in it? Then in that case, you might want to consider it. But, you also have to think about, does it make sense for where you are and where you sell to? So as an Australian, it would make more sense for me if I'm selling to other Australians to do a Boxing Day sale or an EFS sale, so end of financial year sale, which those are two well-known sales events in Australia. However, if you're in the US or Canada, then maybe Black Friday is a better idea because that's the big sales event. And again, who are you selling to? If you're in America selling to Americans, then yeah, sure, Black Friday is probably the best choice. If you're in Australia selling to Australians, does Black Friday make sense? I mean, we've kind of imported it, in the last few years. It sort of popped up a little bit, but it really makes no sense here because we don't have Thanksgiving, and Black Friday is always the day after Thanksgiving. So it doesn't really make sense to do that here as an Australian unless you are selling to primarily US customers, in which case you might be like, yeah, I want to ride that train. So that's when you might decide to participate in that particular sales event. The fourth thing to consider is, can you afford to participate in a sale? You can only afford to participate in a sales event if your prices are high enough that taking the percentage off still leaves you with a profit. If it doesn't, your prices are too low. If you can't take 10 to 50% off your product and still make a profit, then you're not pricing at a retail price point, which is what you should be pricing at when you're selling direct to the consumer. You might be pricing at a wholesale price point, which means you really don't have much wiggle room to, take more off that price point. I see people talking about this a lot in like Etsy forums and stuff where they're like, oh my God, the 10%, that I'm losing for Etsy ads or something is a huge hit. It shouldn't be a huge hit. If you're pricing properly, then that shouldn't be enough of a hit to really impact your profit on your items, because you should have that cushion of the retail price on top of your wholesale price that can absorb those percentage discounts and percentage fees. So that's something really important to think about. If you haven't really worked on your prices properly, do that before you participate in these big sales events, because otherwise you're just shooting yourself in the foot and you're going to end up doing a whole bunch of work for not very much money at all. Are you even covering your costs and time? That is the bare minimum that you need to be covering. That's, not even talking about your overheads and your profit and all the other stuff. So really make sure that you aren't vastly underpricing and then participating in a sale and taking even more money away from yourself before you participate, because you might be losing out. I do have some other podcast episodes about this. I'll link to them in the description below. I have a free pod course called the Making It Pod Course, which has 4 weeks of topics, and one of those weeks is money, and I talk a lot about all sorts of money stuff, and you can check that out below. I also have another one that is why you need to stop feeling bad about charging money for your craft, and if you are feeling that way, I recommend you go listen to that episode as well, because we all need to value our work enough that we are charging enough for it. And if we all did that, everybody's prices would be higher, and handmade as an industry would be elevated as well. So I'm really passionate about making sure people are charging enough for their work. And it's not sustainable for you either. If you actually want to have a profitable business, you can't undercharge, because when you start getting busy, you will just realize that you're not earning enough money to do the work that you're doing. And it's really important to fix that early if you can, so that as your business grows, you are earning a nice profit rather than working yourself into the ground for not very much money. Okay, that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Short and sweet. Hope it gave you some food for thought as to whether participating in big sales events is a good choice for you or not. Let me know if you're watching the YouTube video in the comments below. Are you going to participate? Why or why not? If you're listening to the podcast, you can hit me up at Create and Thrive on Instagram or send me an email. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this as well. And don't forget, I am running a series of free Etsy workshops coming up early November here. Go check that out. Head on over to createandthrive.com/EtsyU. So that's ETSYU. And you can register to be part of that. There's going to be 3 workshops over 3 days, all free, all about Etsy specific stuff. I've actually been working with Etsy as part of the EtsyU program. If you don't know what that is, again, once you register, I'll tell you more about it. But it's information direct from Etsy. They've taught me stuff and then I'm going to pass it on to you. So don't miss the opportunity to participate in that. I would love to see you there live so I can answer your questions and you can participate in the workshop as well. Thank you so much for watching and listening this week. I'll be back again soon with another episode, and bye for now.